This week's episode of The Graveyard Shift is brought to you by fan of the show, Eric H. Eric, like many listeners has been doing, suggested this movie on our Facebook page. Thank you very much, Eric, and to everyone else for the movies and all the feedback. You guys freaking rock. And now, let's begin. My name is Sheldon, and this is The Graveyard Shift. Horror with Sheldon and Mike. Cue the music. Welcome to episode 10 of the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category, usually one selected by one of you fine folks, and we tell you all the info you need to know about it. Info like some production stuff, what we liked, what we didn't like, and if we're feeling particularly energetic, maybe we'll do something fun just for you. And yes, I said we because I'm not nearly as antisocial as those special doctors said I was in high school. Please say hello to the real reason your pet had to go live in that farm in the country, my co-host, Mike.
Hello.
Mike, how are you doing on this fine day, sir?
Absolutely great. Wrapped up the current season of my other podcast, which we will plug at the end. Had a very entertaining guest, who we will also discuss at the end. And had a nice date. Got to go to a video game place called the Blurry Pixel, and drank something called a health potion, which was served in a nice bulbous decanter, just like a potion should be, and even served with a straw. And it was made with like white rum, triple sec, and some other things.
Nice, sounds good.
And it was
awesome.
Pretty good. So I've had a great day.
That is good. So you had a great day.
How about you?
Had a pretty good day, actually. It was a nice, simple day at work. Had a nice big workout tonight, and now doing lots of recording. So since we both had good days, are we all ready to tackle another horror movie?
Since we've had good days, it's time to talk about someone who didn't have a good day.
That's right. With that being said, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone what they're in for this week?
Today's episode is Roadkill's Return, because we watched Pet Sematary.
That is right. Based on the popular Stephen King novel of the same name. In my opinion, this was one of the better Stephen King book-to-movie translations. Not that it doesn't have some flaws, but King's movies tend to be hit and miss, usually more miss than hit. But I really like this one. How about you?
I enjoyed it. I say tentatively.
So have you read many of King's novels?
I don't read novels because I don't usually have time. So I've usually just I watch the movie or I read a review or something. It is so piss poor. I'm not like bragging or anything. I just don't read books that often. I read other things like science articles and stuff, but stories give it to me in a movie so I can, be done with it in a reasonable amount of time and move on to something else.
Right. You're not related to Stephen King, right?
I bet. I wish I was. I could definitely do with some of that money.
See, he is very descriptive and creates an eerie atmosphere that just doesn't seem to be easily recreated on film. It is my favorite book by him, and as much as I did enjoy the TV movie from the 90s, it really paled in comparison, and the book explained it a lot more. There were some problems I had with the movie that got explained in the book that made it much easier to take. I'm really hoping the new It movie conveys it better. Can't wait to see that. The trailer for It looks legitimately terrifying. We're actually going to do something for the show when It hits theaters. I probably haven't even told you about that yet, but I got a plan.
Eventually he's going to clue me in on it, and then we'll get it done.
Yeah. I think of some stuff, we should do this to the show, and then sometimes I completely forget to mention it to you. And sometimes I bring it up, while we're recording, and you're like, I've never heard of this. You haven't told me about this.
Yeah, Mike, so tell them about our big plan.
Yeah.
I will when I know what it is.
So, how about we give some details about Pet Sematary?
Absolutely. Lay it on me. What the hell did we just watch?
Right. Well, Pet Sematary was released in 1989 by Paramount Pictures. It had a budget of approximately $11.5 million and had a box office return of about $58 million. So yeah, I think any horror movie that takes in about 5 times its budget is considered a success.
That explains why they had a rushed sequel.
Yep. It wasn't that rushed, was it? It was 3 years.
I don't know. I've just looked at the reviews on it, and apparently... I mean, like, if it stars Eddie Furlong, and it's not Terminator 2...
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Unless it's Terminator 2, stay away from Eddie Furlong's career. It stars Dale Midkiff, best known for, well, actually, this movie. This was his peak.
Oh man,
Sorry,
I really thought that this was like
Denise
the
Crosby
guy that played Castiel from. I thought this was the guy that played Castiel from Supernatural.
No, that wasn't him. The guys that plays Castiel is like Misha or something.
Yeah, but it just happened to look so much like him.
They do have a similar look, yeah. It also starred Denise Crosby, probably best known as Tasha Yar from Star Trek Next Generation. And Fred Gwynne, of course, best known for playing Herman Munster on the Munsters TV show. Oh man, I love that show. It was so old the first time I saw it, and I still freaking love it. That theme song just gets me.
Yeah, when I first saw Fred Gwynne show up, I seriously thought I was looking at like redneck Dick Van Dyke.
I knew you meant Dick Van Dyke. Yeah.
I really thought he'd be going like Jim Jiminy, Jim Taroo.
So this movie has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 46% from critics. Wow, I think that's a bit harsh actually. And 60% from the audience. That's probably more like it. For me, I may give it a little higher. We'll see. The plot, behind a young family's home in Maine is a terrible secret that holds the power of life after death. When tragedy strikes, that threat of power soon becomes undeniable. Doesn't really give a whole lot in the description.
Yeah. Oh, one thing you failed to mention about Dale Midkiff is that he played Captain Darian Lambert on Time Tracks. Remember Time Tracks?
Vaguely. I may have seen an episode or two. It didn't last long, right?
It was the last series produced from Lorimar Television.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's all I got.
That's it, right? That's all you have. So, Mike, are you ready to dig into the Pet Sematary?
I certainly am. Oh shit! Stephen King has a connection with Lorimar. Lorimar produced it.
Oh, really? Okay.
In fact, it has other horror things. It also produced Freddy's Nightmares.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh,
I love that show, actually.
Man.
I didn't get to see many episodes. I may have saw like 2 or 3 because I don't think it was on like any TV stations I had at the time. It was on TV, but I remember like having some sleepover sometimes, some friend's house, and managing to catch an episode or 2.
Oh my God, Time Tracks was the last series produced by Lorimar, but they did other shows you may have heard of, like Alf, Mama's Family, Perfect Strangers, The People's Court, Full House, Family Matters,
yeah.
Sisters, Step by Step, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. Did you know they had a TV series?
I did not.
Neither did I. And
how do I not know that there was a Bill and Ted TV series? It could not have starred Keanu Reeves and what's the other guy's name? Alex Winter?
Yeah,
is it?
It had Evan Richards as Bill S. Preston Esquire and Christopher Kennedy as Ted Theodore Logan. And those guys don't get a Wikipedia entry in their name, but all their co-stars do. Just to let you
my
know who
God.
we're dealing with here. It had Rick Overton as Rufus, Danny Breen as Mr. Kilson, Don Lake as Mr. Preston, and Lisa Wilcox as Missy Preston, with Diedrich Bader as Arthur and Art Johnson as Albert Einstein.
Good God. That sounds terrible.
Oh my God, the co-stars had more successful careers than the main stars.
Okay.
Wait, it was
ready
the
to get back on
cartoon.
track?
It wasn't a live action, it was the cartoon they had. I remember watching that.
Oh, I remember an animated show, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the big speech when he was at
Okay,
Gettysburg.
that's different.
And he's like, listen, people, united, we rock. Divided, we take a dive.
Okay.
Okay, so enough sidetracking.
All right. Let's get back on track with our horror movie podcast. How about that?
Yeah.
All right, so ready to go with your likes?
Oh, I've got some likes. The first like I have is, as soon as I see like great credits, like nice appropriate credits, which after seeing another Stephen King movie, I'm kind of on edge. Like, good credits, they need to be appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my first like, good credits.
Okay. Yeah, you love those credit fonts, don't you?
I appreciate them more now that I've seen shitty ones.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, for my first like, Zombie Cat. I love cats, but they're already kind of, scary and kind of sketchy. I honestly don't think it could have been a better animal to use because, with the whole thing with, I think the cat's name was Church.
Yeah.
We're coming back. Like, if anybody that didn't know the cat already, they wouldn't have thought that if there was just some stranger encountered it, they wouldn't have thought there was something wrong with it. They would have thought it was just, being a cat. So, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, he just did what a cat do. He didn't need superpowers. He could just fuck you up like a regular cat.
Exactly.
And my next like, again, like not specifically the credits, but one specific credit, not directed by Stephen King. So we right off the bat we're avoiding Maximum Overdrive territory.
Yep. No ATM machines calling him an asshole.
No big green goblin truck for some reason.
Yep. Okay, so for my second like, Fred Gwynn. He was great in this. I think he was my actual favorite character in the movie, and he was definitely the best actor in the cast, which is kind of weird when you think of, like, you got a cast of experienced actors, and the best one is the guy that played Herman Munster. So that was a surprise, but no, he was great in this.
Yeah, and my likes are kind of small, so I'll do like two at a time. Cat's cuter than the kid. I mean, they got like a beautiful Russian blue, which is like to me like one of the most beautiful cats, period. And then secondly, touching on what we already said before, hee-haw version of Dick Van Dyke. And as a side note, I said, did you remember to keep your kid from wandering into traffic? Pepper Ridge Farms remembers.
That's good. So you said the cat was cuter than the kid? Come on, that kid was adorable.
Maybe, but the cat was still cuter.
Okay, whatever. Okay, for my next one, Denise Crosby's sister flashbacks. This was, if not the scariest part of the movie, it was the most disturbing. Like, that was genuinely creepy.
Yeah, I thought I was watching the kid from Mask and Drag.
Oh my god, that was just... I don't remember. I did read the book, but like a long time ago, and I don't remember if those flashbacks of her sister were in it, but the movie, holy crap, like that... I guess I would have been like 12, 13 when I first saw this movie. It was probably already out in video stores for a while, but yeah, those scenes always stuck in my mind. That really freaked me out. So good job. Like they really amped the creep factor. Okay, you got anything else?
when they're approaching the great, and you hear like the sound of like a fucking T-Rex, and he's like, "Oh, that's just a loon." Yeah, of Satan. I mean, like, from the sound of that, I think even the dinosaurs buried there came back.
Yeah. I do remember that, actually. That was a weird sound. And, like, I've heard loons. I've never heard one that sounded like that. Okay, so, for my next one, I have The Death of Gage. Now, okay, bear with me. I'm not saying that I like scenes where kids get killed, but because this was so upsetting and hard to watch, and of course it was the major plot point of the movie, it was what drove the story, and it was super effective. Like, you really felt bad for this family. I can't imagine anything worse. And they played it nicely. Like, they really conveyed being terribly shaken, like, very well.
Oh yeah, they were like tearing each other apart while. Yeah, it was good grief.
Actually, all the deaths in this movie were really well done, all very effective. The gore was all really good. Fred Gwynn getting his Achilles tendon slashed. Oh my god, that made me cringe. Like, even now, after seeing the movie a couple of times, rewatching it, I still cringe at that scene. Like, ugh. That really was just way too realistic looking. Case, you got more likes?
Yeah. Like, basically when the cat threw the rat in the tub, it's like the cat's basically saying, "Here, bring him back so I can fuck him up again. Maybe he'll put up a better fight this time."
Yeah, that was pretty good. My cat always brings us one of his brings us a kill every night, but his kill is usually one of his like little fuzzy catnip toys or something. He'll be downstairs. We'll go upstairs. Our bedroom's upstairs, and we'll hear him downstairs making all kinds of ruckus, like thumping around. Then he'll come upstairs meowing loudly and jump up on the bed and lay down like a little catnip mouse or a little fuzzy ball for us or something.
There is my tribute. My debt for the night is paid.
So, I've got another one. Actually, I think I got a couple. But I just like the premise of this movie. People coming back but not being themselves. And someone being so grief-stricken that they know this. They know it's something weird, but they do it anyway because they just can't bear to be away from the person that's died. That's pretty heavy, actually. So, just the whole premise of the movie was good. And I also like the ghostly warnings. We don't know why Victor is a ghost. I think it was his name, Victor. Or why he's trying to warn them about the cursed burial ground. But he is, and he's creepy. And we get to see a bloody, gory ghost. So it's all good.
Yeah. And I like the... basically when the guy's trying to reassure his daughter that everything's going to be okay, and I can just imagine, yep, everything's going to be all right, honey. I'm just going to desecrate your brother's grave, reanimate him, freak out the entire family who now knows the dead can return to life, and when they have to kill him again, they'll have to grieve him once more. And this is a good plan.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the final one on my list of likes. Zombie Gage. Holy shit, this was terrifyingly awesome. That's the only words I can describe it. A fucking undead deranged toddler running around with a scalpel, taunting with his little kid's voice.
Yeah,
that was just insane and just so good.
Oh my god, this is like essentially what Child's Play should have looked like.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, Child's Play. I can't wait to do that one too. But yeah, that kid was a great actor. I don't know how old he was. I know he was only playing a toddler, but I don't know how old the actor was when he did this. But he did such a good job.
Well, his name is Miko Hughes, and he was in Wes Craven's New Nightmare as Helen Langenkamp's son. And he starred opposite Bruce Willis in Mercury Rising. He played Jim Lovell's son in Apollo 13. So the kid's 31 and he's still acting. His first role was Pet Sematary, then Kindergarten Cop, Jack the Bear, Cops and Robertsons, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Apollo 13, Zeus and Roxanne. He was in Spawn, Mercury Rising, Baby Geniuses, One Last Flight, Magic Rock, Clock Stoppers, Escape to Grizzly Mountain, Surf School, Thou Shalt Not. Oh shit! He was in Tropic Thunder as the radio DJ.
Nice.
Oh, fucking. And he was Steve Niles' Remains. And then in TV, he was in Out of This World, Beverly Hills 90210, Doogie Howser MD, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Melrose Place, Shaky Ground, The Nanny, Full House, Touched by an Angel, The Parenthood, Baywatch, Roswell, Hey Arnold, Boston Public, Veronica Mars, Scrubs, and Cavemen.
Yeah, okay, so he's kept busy.
This guy's getting around.
Good for him. Obviously, I mean, he did a really good job at. I just looked it up. He was 3 years old when he filmed this, so yeah. And now
he's oh my god, he reemerged as a teen in the science fiction series Roswell. He played a lovable villain who was part of a renegade group of aliens. As a musician, he released 2 albums in 1995 at the age of 9. One is self-titled and the other is called Halloween Haunts. He wrote, at the age of 9, wrote songs for both albums. They were recorded by and released by his own company, Little Chief Incorporated. And in 2013, he directed the segment C in the horror anthology film Chilling Visions, 5 Senses of Fear. So he's not just acting, he's also directing.
Yeah. Cool. Good for him. So did you have anything else to add to the likes list?
Yeah, my final like is lesson learned, time to take the wife there. One last tumble, or at least I can turn you on your parents and they'll leave me alone.
Yeah. So the only thing I have left for likes, I actually just jotted this down, is that I like the soundtrack. Like the background scores were good, and it also included 2 songs by the Ramones, so that's always good. Yeah, and that's it for me. That's my likes for this movie.
Yep, the score for this was done by Elliot Goldenthal, who did Grendel, The Butcher Boy, Batman Forever, Interview with the Vampire. So, also SWAT. So, he's kind of like Danny Elfman for like action movies.
Yeah. Okay, now on to the fun stuff. You got some dislikes for this one?
Well, when you see the that old lady that's complaining about like, I never been married. Well, it was just like, yeah, you'll never get married with that pickle puss. And that was just like a note. My first big dislike was there ever a normal Indian burial ground?
Yeah, these Indian burial grounds seem to have like a lot of curses about them, don't they?
Yeah, maybe I don't want to play devil's advocate, but maybe they were wiped out for a reason. Oh. Because the white people saw like, okay, they're resurrecting the dead and they're bringing trees to life. Seriously, these red people have to go.
Yeah, I ain't touching that. Okay, so for my first dislike, there was an inconsistency in regards to the people that returned. When Gage and Rachel, Tasha Yar, they returned, they were coherent but evil. Had their brains but not their souls, so to speak. Gage even seemed to get smarter, honestly, because all of a sudden, he's a little toddler, but all of a sudden he knows how to use a telephone and everything. But when Judd is telling the story of Timmy is more like the typical shuffling, staggering zombie. We even saw him eating what appears to be a kid's leg. Now, it could be that it happened a long time ago and that's just how Judd remembers it, but still I think they could have kept it the same for all the returned people. I just thought that was kind of weird.
Who knows? Maybe he was like that when he was. Maybe he was halfway there when he was alive.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe there's a reason for it, but it's not explained in the movie, at least.
Oh yeah, and then like another dislike was like basically the ghost saying, "I've returned from the grave to tell you not to use soil that you don't know about yet." That's like, yeah. You know, you could also tell me not to rob the bank at 4:05 p.m. when there's a 95-second gap in the guard change and the key card is on the desk. I wasn't even thinking about it until you brought it up.
Yeah. Okay. So for my next dislike, when Rachel returns, she's still showing all the injuries she received from Gage in awesome gory detail. It looks amazing. But both Gage and the cat got run over by 18-wheelers and had no visible injuries when they returned. You would think that would have that would be pretty messed up, like to get hit by that, because the only thing we see of Gage when he gets hit, we see like a bloody, ripped up shoe rolling down the road. So I guess just another inconsistency.
Yeah, that kid is like a beanbag.
Oh, you get hit by an 18-wheeler at that speed, you're coming apart.
Yeah, your bones are now dust, and your ligaments have failed to ligament. Like, there are some zany regenerative properties. Like, it's not a simple matter of, oh, well, he just died and we got to put the soul, and like the graveyard just puts the soul back in the body. No. You want to move around. You got to start repairing some shit.
Yeah. So I just thought that was weird, that's all.
Yeah, the wife seems to come out worse for wear than when she went in. And the kid and the cat get a friggin' body restoration.
Yeah.
Where's the consistency, man?
Mm-hmm. So anything else for you?
Yeah, when Lewis gets sucker punched at his own kid's funeral, and we got Super Mario telling him to keep it together because it's his kid's funeral. Because he was out of line falling down after getting punched in the face and shit on by his father-in-law. And he's the one getting told to keep it together and like stop embarrassing the family.
Yeah. Oh, they would have been burying two people that day if that was me. If I'm at my kid's funeral and somebody punches me, yeah, they would die right there. Like, get the shovel and start digging another hole because we got another one. Well, that one kind of leads into my next one. Because, okay, I don't care how grief-stricken or traumatized you are, after seeing what happened to your son and the action you had to take after burying him in the pet cemetery, would you really do the same thing to your wife? And just expect everything's going to be okay? That's pretty bad judgment there,
He's
Lewis.
a doctor, and you know how the scientific method is. Try everything slightly different than what you did before, because, think about penicillin. How many times or did any medical breakthroughs come out because they basically did the same thing, but they eased up the dosage a bit on one ingredient? So, as a scientist, I can see, like, you don't just rule something out because it fucked up once. Like, there's variables to consider.
Yeah, but this was fucked up with being your kid ended up being like this murderous zombie sort of thing, and that ended up killing like your neighbor and your wife. I would probably just.
Well, he's also a kid and doesn't know better.
Oh yeah.
Kids and animals are basically the same intelligence.
Okay, well. Anyway, I thought, like,
it is a good point, though. I can at least understand his reasoning in that.
Okay. You got anything else?
Yeah. Another kid with prophecy dreams? You're double dipping, Steve.
He likes to do that. He always, like, not so much in his movies so much, but in his novels, a lot of them are actually... they're all like usually something in one novel gets mentioned in another novel. Like in the actual novel of Pet Sematary, he actually mentions Cujo. He mentions like a Saint Bernard like going crazy and killing a bunch of people like in the neighboring town. So yeah, King likes to do that. Have these like little connections,
And they're
planted
useless
around.
kids, too.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then I have like a string of them connected, but I'll wait until you're done.
Well, I've only got one more. So you wouldn't get this from the movie, but I found it while doing some research for my notes, and I'm definitely not happy about this. But the role of Lewis was almost played by Bruce Campbell.
Oh my.
How fucking awesome would that have been? Apparently, he was the first choice to play Lewis, but had to pass up due to scheduling conflicts.
You don't understand, Judd. This is my wife. I mean, like, yeah, she's a little fucked up, but she's not a kid, so maybe she's got like some of her soul left, and her body wasn't completely disintegrated by a truck. She just got stabbed a bit, so maybe the less damage that it has to rebuild, the more of her soul she keeps.
So I was curious about what he was filming at the time, which could have like interfered with the filming of Pet Sematary. So I checked his IMDb entries for 1989 to 1990.
That should have been Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness was 90. I think they started filming in 91 and it came out in 92. But he was in 7 things during that year.
Okay, busy. I get it.
Yeah, so he was busy.
Wow. Okay, so
that's it for my dislikes.
My dislikes are pretty much back to back, and it all has to do with the end of the movie. And it goes like this. Okay, I get that he fucked up your tendon, but he's just a goddamn toddler. Fight back, old man. And then when the mom walks in and the baby looks like Alex DeLarge, like Clockwork Orange baby? Seriously? And then he calls up his old man to taunt him. The kid knows his home phone number. He's fucking 2.
That's what I said. Like, when I was talking about the inaccuracy when it comes to the people that return, because like Timmy was like a more of a zombie, but like I said, Gage actually seemed to have gotten smarter. He knows how to use a phone.
It is not just smarter. Apparently, when the guy goes in the house, apparently he's acid washed the interior of the old man's house overnight. He's fucking 2. And then finally, when the guy finds all these staged bodies like Jason Voorhees, I mean, the mom's in the attic. How the fuck did he reach the attic? Moving bodies, dragging the old man under the bed and throwing mom in the attic and then getting up there to tie a blanket in a fucking knot. He can't even tie his shoes and he's making a noose. He's 2. He's fucking 2.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of odd. I guess I don't know, like some part of the returning process involves some kind of super strength or something, but
and a crash course in the Boy Scouts for those tricky for those tricky blanket knots.
That was freaking scary though. The whole the Alex DeLarge scene you mentioned. I have something for you, mommy.
Yeah, I mean, like, seriously, your kid's back from the dead. You saw his body being embalmed. You saw it getting mangled by a truck. And that he's coming at you with his scalpel exposed. And your first thought isn't, I'm going to disarm this fucking zombie child. Then I'm going to talk with him. No.
My first thought, I don't care if it was my kid or not. My first thought is, well, I have to lock the doors and burn his house down.
Yep. I'm going to close this door with the kid inside and then find something flammable. It's an old house. I won't have to try hard. And that saves up my dislikes. Although I did have one last closing set of observations.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Kid with prophetic dreams, an old man that knows more about the supernatural but isn't helpful at all and is led by a child to his death, with a father that makes terrible decisions. Didn't we just see this movie?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that sounds familiar, actually.
And then funny ghost zombie that gives exposition, warnings, and guidance after his death. Didn't we just see this movie?
We did.
And then a moron making out with an obvious rotting corpse that clearly wants to kill him. Didn't we just see this movie?
Again, yes, that sounds very familiar.
So, yeah,
So,
we saw this movie already 3 times, and this was the 4th.
yeah, that's, yeah, you're right. It's got elements of all of those in there. So, good catch.
That's how my brain works, man. I see the connections. I see the patterns, man. It's all a pattern. You just gotta find it.
Well, there you have it. That is Pet Sematary. All in all, I recommend it. It's decent and scary enough. It can be a little slow. There's some questionable parts, but only at times. I'm happy with giving it a 7 out of 10. Check it out. Now, how about you? Would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, like, for all of the numerous flaws we've mentioned, that's just, like, savvy sticking points with me, but as it was presented, the pacing was decent, and I was just pretty, I did not feel robbed or cheated of my time by the time it was over. I was just thinking, I probably could have done a slightly better version of this, but all in all, it wasn't too bad.
Mm-hmm. Nothing spectacular, but it was good.
And Sheldon, it came at about, what was it, a tight 2 hours or an hour and 40 minutes?
Actually, it was an hour and 10 minutes.
The sweet spot.
No, actually, sorry, it was 110 minutes. Sorry, so, yeah, it was under 2 hours, which is fine.
Yep. The original cut actually was just a little bit longer, but they ended up deleting a scene because I guess it just didn't test well, or it just held the story back. But It does show that you'd think one man alone wouldn't know about the cemetery and its powers. If they're news travels fast in a small town, right?
Right.
So
well, I get what you're saying. You would think that if one person knew about the powers of the burial ground, then it would make sense that other people would know about it.
Well, yeah, the other farmers definitely know about it. I mean, Judd was not the only one, because he had accomplices when he burned down that house with the old man in it and his zombie soldier son.
Mm-hmm.
So it stands to reason, and they actually filmed a scene of another family dealing with their own reanimated pet.
Really?
Yep, but I guess they just felt it was a little too distracting, and this is the story of the Creed family. The other family just, it was just a scene for world building, but it just didn't pan out. But luckily, I found it, and I'm bringing it to you on this week's It Came from the Cutting Room Floor. Oh, Fred, I just don't know what to do. Poor Billy's going to be so sad when he finds out Gulpy died.
Don't worry, Sarah. I took care of it.
Did you buy a replacement fish?
Yeah. At those crazy pet store prices? No way.
Well, what did you do?
Ta-da! Gulpy's alive.
What? But he was dead, wasn't he? I ran him over with the vacuum when he jumped out of the bowl.
Well, he was dead. But then I remembered a story I heard when I was a kid that if you bury a dead animal behind a pet cemetery, it'll come back. And there it is.
Oh, God, his guts are hanging out of his butt.
Yeah, he looks a little rough, but now Billy won't have to... Wow, it smells awful. You won't have to... You want to go through the pain of losing his pet. Ooh.
What did you do?
Oh, hey, look, honey. It's our elderly, nosy neighbor, Ned.
Hi, Ned. Don't hi me. I know what's going on here. You buried that thing on the sour ground. Now it's back and it's going to kill us all.
This thing's gonna kill us all?
You mean Gulpy Billy's goldfish? Anything that gets buried there comes back evil and killy. Just like the time old man Bateman buried his son there. He came back. Me and my friend Judd and some other guys had to burn their house down with them inside.
Wow. Okay. Sarah, Ned may have just admitted to murder and arson.
Oh dear. I'll go get a torch.
Whew. Okay, I'm gonna go grab a fire extinguisher and keep Ned away from the house. You call the police.
Okay. Boy, this is a weird day.
Ned! Ned! Put that torch down, Ned! I'm not joking!
Death! Death comes for us all! Some things are better left dead. Well, that explained a lot, didn't it?
Yeah,
And by a lot, I mean not really much, so I can kind of see why it didn't. But it definitely did show how other things were affected.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, that was kind of weird, man. I'm kind of glad they got rid of that whole two-family angle.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't, like, unless they split it, like, ooh, could you imagine if they made this an anthology movie? 3 families all affected by the same cemetery? Shit, I think...
Actually would be cool. You know what?
We're stumbling on a better movie here.
You know I'm a sucker for anthologies, so I'd be down with it.
Twice lived pets.
So what happens? That raises a good question. Church, the cat, comes back. He kills him with injecting him morphine because apparently undead, soulless, resurrected creatures can die of a drug overdose. What happens if he takes the cat and buries it in the Pet Sematary again?
Cat comes back, but he's stoned. The cat comes back and he's all just wobbly. The cat's just coming home with a hangover.
Oh, this is going to be a whole different movie. But anyway, with that...
Jonesing. I just need a fix. Help me out, I'm hurting.
So, Mike, there's a few good ones in this, but I'm very curious about what you have for us next.
Oh, well, again, there's so many kills in this. I'm going to have my hands full with selecting this week's Kill of the Week.
Okay, can't wait. What do you got?
You know what? I gotta say, like, half the kills in this could have been stopped with just a lick of common sense. Like, I definitely know the dead child is upstairs. I probably should not be walking into any rooms. But since I'm basically the white Scatman Crothers, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Oh, good. I'm glad you picked this one.
So Mr. Pepperidge Farms goes up the stairs after hearing Gage laughing. He knows the kid is back. Like, he knows that Daddy done fucked up. And he done buried his kid on the spoiled ground. But he's going up anyway with no preparation. He knows what he's going up against, but he's too stupid to do a damn thing about it. Especially when it comes to, he hears the kid laughing behind the bed, and he does that, that what they love to do in those stupid movie scenes where they like slowly go towards the blanket, like the blanket is terrifying. Like, they're afraid to, like, touch the blanket, let alone lift it up. And I'm looking at that bed. There's a wooden board at the end, so the blanket is only going along the sides. All you had to do was get on your knees, look down at the foot of the bed, a safe distance away, and you would see the kid ambushing, like, in ambush with a scalpel. But, he did the stupid thing. Lifted up the blanket, saw nothing, turned around, got his Achilles tendon sliced, which in beautiful gory detail. And then when he's hobbled, the kid just gives him a Glasgow smile right off the bat. And then, because, just to sell the zombie angle, he fucking tears out Gwen's throat. He murders Herman Munster by ripping out his jugular. And I'm like, you got a scalpel. You could have just dug it into his chest. But, you went for your little tiny flimsy baby teeth and ripped out his vocal cords. And then somehow stuffed his, I don't know, since he's about 6'5", I'd say 170 to 180 pounds, if he was super skinny, maybe 200 pounds at best, body under the bed with your 3-year-old body.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. And then he can even conceptualize the need for an ambush. He can't even clean up his toy box, but yet he's going to clean up his murder room.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. That's a good choice. Great kill. You saw it in all its gory awesomeness. Two of my, probably what makes a list of my top 10 like worst non-fatal injuries. Two of them are in the same kill. Jeez, the Achilles tendon slash, and then the fucking like making the lift top head smile.
He turned him into a South Park Canadian.
Exactly. Yeah, that was terrible. And then while he's writhing on the ground, just chomps onto his neck. Yeah, definitely. Because this movie did have a lot of gore. You saw like some gory bodies afterwards. Most of the kills happened off camera. So
they didn't even show the cat. They just like you find the cat and he's merged with the permafrost.
Yeah, but he was fine after he got buried. So, but yeah, good choice. And that pretty much does it for our movie coverage. That's it for this week. But we're not done quite just yet because, Mike, I actually have a horror-related event that I want to tell everyone about.
Ooh, me too. Tell me.
All right, so Rue Morgue Magazine and Lady Hellbat are hosting the first annual Spooky Flea Market on August 12th. If you are in the Toronto area, you should check it out. Whether you're purging your horror stash or in the market for a new favorite collectible, do it among friends on a hopefully lovely summer day. Cold drinks and barbecue will be available to buy, and vendors will be collecting non-perishable food items to donate to local food banks. So you'll be helping out a good cause while you do some shopping for some horror merchandise. The address is 1411 Dufferin Street, Toronto, and it opens at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday, August 12th. For more details, check out Rue Morgue and Lady Hellbat on Facebook, and we'll post links in the show notes, so you'll be able to find it easy enough.
Neat. Too bad I'm like 6 hours away from Toronto. I would easily check that out.
Yeah, I may check it out. It'll literally be like half an hour for me, so.
Sweet.
So that's the show for this week, but we want to hear from you. You have any movie suggestions, comments, criticisms, death threats, or you just want to say hi? You've got some options. You can do it the old-fashioned way and email us at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod, and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And, of course, if you're confused by the whole idea of us giving away a show for free, you can fix that by donating at www.patreon.com/graveyard. All proceeds go to the upkeep and promotion of the show.
And my impending legal defense fund.
Yeah, for as little as $1, you can help us out a lot, and you get some access to some nice Patreon exclusive content with more on the way. So check it out. And if you don't have the money to give us money, you can still help us out a ton by rating, reviewing, and subscribing on iTunes, and by downloading and listening just like you are right now.
Yep, share links to this episode and say, hey, listen, these guys made me laugh for an hour. They may make you laugh too. Check it.
And if you hated it and said, these guys have no idea what they're talking about, they should never have a horror podcast, it was such a bad idea, tell people to listen to it so they can confirm that for themselves.
Yeah, listen to how much these guys suck.
Either way.
In fact, listen to all their episodes to see how much they suck.
So before we go, Mike, how about you give everyone a little taste of what we got in store for next week?
Well, next week we're going to have a lovely cinematic masterpiece from the female perspective. I guess you could call it an after-Lifetime movie.
You could. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this one. I'm not going to say what it is just yet. I haven't seen it before, and somebody actually went through the trouble of, it's a fan pick, but somebody actually went through the trouble of getting us the DVD for this. So...
Whoa, somebody delivered?
Yeah, someone actually gave me, got the DVD for me.
Oh, sweet.
So, if someone's going to put that much work into helping us out with an episode to show, I think it's worthwhile to give it a watch.
Absolutely. I had to go pirate it like a chump.
What? No, you didn't. No, we would never pirate a movie on this show.
Absolutely not. We wouldn't.
You can help our legal defense at www.patreon.com/graveyard.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the most accessible movie to me. And the Patreon here isn't making enough for me to legally acquire everything.
No. This one is actually kind of hard to find.
And by everything, I mean anything. So start forking out, people. Come on.
This movie is a little hard to find, so I'm not expecting a lot of people to have seen it or will watch it after we talk about it. So it's kind of an unusual one, but I think we're going to enjoy it. Hope you guys will too, at least enjoy this episode. And I think that pretty much wraps us up for this week.
Excellent.
So, Mike, just one more thing. If people want to hear more of your sweet, seductive voice, how could you do that?
Well, you can go to www.playingwithpowerpodcast.com or facebook.com/playingwithpowerpodcast to hear our show. My other podcast, Playing with Power Podcast. Third time's the charm. It's about me and two friends reading and discussing, for the most part, Nintendo Power Magazine or terrible, gross things that we saw in the news or the internet. It could be any guess, but there is going to be discussion of a magazine. That is like the main reason we do every episode. Anything else is, well, basically a coin toss.
Yeah.
So
it's if you're a fan of retro video games, Nintendo specifically, and if you had a subscription to Nintendo Power back in the day, you'd enjoy it. I really do like it. It is one of my regular podcasts I listen to, and that's how actually me and Mike came about doing this podcast, so I owe him for that one.
And if you just think, well, this sounds nice, but it just wouldn't be the same without Sheldon, well, first, screw you for being so fancy, and second, you're in luck, Mr. Fancy Pants, because Sheldon is going to be on the season finale of this season.
Woo! They only bring me out
at the end.
They only bring me out for the important episodes.
Yep. So we're going to hear his delightful commentary on something that isn't horror movies, just a horror show.
Yep, not horror movie related, but still pretty damn scary sometimes.
Oh, especially when John's involved.
Wouldn't be a show without John. But anyway, more on that next week, and yeah, check it out. Playing with Power Podcast, you'll enjoy it. And thank you, guys. We've been getting our numbers and our downloads have been increasing a lot. We're getting the numbers on our Facebook page, our followers on Twitter. While the numbers are still not big on Twitter, literally, in 1 week, we doubled our Twitter followers. So
whoa.
Thank you guys so much for that. We really do appreciate it. You're making this podcast totally worth it. Really, we can't thank you enough.
Just one plug out to a friend, because he's been plugging my podcast on his show as I've been catching up on them, so I feel it's time I return the favor. Blaine J., who was a guest on an episode, and his friend James Milholland, who was also a guest on an episode or two of the Playing with Power podcast, have their own show, which kind of intersects two things I'm doing: video games and movies. They do a show about video game movies called Video
Nice.
Games, the Movie. And it's a podcast where they just talk about video game related movies or TV series like Captain S. Did you know there was a Sega version of Captain N?
I did not.
Neither did I, but they found it and watched it and talked about it.
Well, okay. Well, you got me sold. I'm going to have to check it out.
And they talk about other ones like Doom, Mortal Kombat, Super Mario Brothers, as well as River City Ransom. Did you know there was a movie?
Nope. Once again, did not.
Exactly. So that's why you should check out this movie. Some of it are movies that you know, like Wing Commander, and then other ones you just had no friggin' idea. And I'm also on one, talking about There Will Be Brawl, the live-action Smash Brothers fan-made miniseries, limited series.
Cool. Well, we'll have to mention that in the show notes for sure. So you can check that out. And guys, once again, thank you for joining us. Until next time, I'm Sheldon.
I'm Mike.
And please come visit us again on the Graveyard Shift. Yay!
Woo!